So to recap, it's Division 1 and 2 and NAIA that give money, but all these other schools can give you money, but not athletic. It's either based on other talents, merit award, or need-based grants.
Yeah, so Division 1, FBS and FCS, definitely you get money.
And for those who don't know what that is, can you tell our listeners?
So at the Division 1 level, there are schools that have a really clear distinction in the number of students that attend and the level of competition that those schools participate in. So at the Division 1 level, I guess it really doesn't matter. There are athletic scholarships that are awarded, and that value may vary. At the Division 2 level, you can receive an athletic scholarship. It will not be as much as it is at the Division 1 level, only because of the size of the school and the budget and the level of competition. At the Division 3 level of the NCAA, there is zero athletic scholarship money. However, colleges will create merit opportunities for students to attend. Then there's the NAIA, and that generally has 2 levels of division. They do offer money, and that value also is a sliding scale depending on the sport and how quickly those coaches or programs feel that the student-athlete will impact their program. So there is some money that is offered there. And then, believe it or not, at some junior college levels, programs find themselves in a position where they can support some students. It may be in books, it may be in meals, it may be in travel to and from school, but some places are actually able to support kids in providing what they need fundamentally for their programs.
That's the reason why to shop around, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I walk in your door, you tell me your philosophy, you check where I am, how much I'm hungry for this opportunity, and what are maybe the first top 3 or 5 steps do I need to take to have a coach notice me?
Well, it's really about generating exposure, and so the process, what I try to do with student athletes and their families that come in is try to get a pulse on where they are and what they've done. And if you're starting from scratch, then we need to kind of generate some lists based on your values, the things that are important to you and the family, and what your bandwidth is. Are you not want to leave California, or are you ready to go as far away as Australia?
Right.
And if that's the case, then okay, we're certainly attack it that way and approach it that way. So we want to find out where your values are and what your bandwidth is, and then after that, have some hard conversations about where you are academically and athletically. Are you a strong academic candidate? Are you a good academic candidate? Because all of those things are going to influence, when you get down to the bottom of it, it's going to influence the type of school that you apply to. If you want to apply to an Ivy League school, but you do not have an Ivy League GPA, it's going to make it very, very difficult to get in, which will cause frustration in the process. So we want to create a broad net of opportunities, but we also want to do it in a way that's relatively strategic, where we aren't wasting our time and energy at places we know are not going to happen.
Right. So one is understanding what you want and what you don't want. What's the next step that a student should take?
And we have to outreach. We got to create lists based on those schools, and then we have to outreach to coaches and programs, and that can be. Now with social media, there's several ways to reach coaches, but email is certainly the most direct way, and then through social media. Now for coach, if it's your first introduction to a coach, then I would strongly suggest email with a phone call follow-up. After that, after the coach kind of knows who you are, at least have some contact with you, then you can kind of do some things on the social media side. But many coaches, they're going to be coaching you, so you want to start as soon as you can building a relationship with those coaches and having conversations about things that are important. So no better way to do that than shoot an email to get started and follow up with a phone call.
And then what if I'm one of those students, because I hear this a lot, I haven't heard back, and these are 5 colleges that I really like. I love their program, but I did the email, I did the phone call, I reached out to their social medias, sent it to the head coach, sent it to the recruiter, just haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and that's going to depend on a couple of different things. The first is your age. If you're a sophomore, coaches are not going to call you back right away because they technically cannot talk about recruitment technically until September 1st of that junior year. Sometimes, depending on the sport, as early as June 15th, leading into junior year. So if you've not heard back from a coach and you're in that category, then it's not uncommon. And I'd also say with where we are right now and socially with COVID, right, the coaches are being overwhelmed with outreach. So you are going to need some patience as well as some persistence because coaches are getting 2 to 3 times the number of emails and messages than they normally would at this particular time. So understanding that, it's really important that you have are consistent with your message, that you do have some patience, and yet you figure out really pertinent reasons to outreach of which you want to update and inform.
So since you brought up, on the date of this show, it's May 5th, 2020. And there is a pandemic that all over the world is experiencing with COVID-19. And definitely sports is definitely impacted by that. So if I am a student athlete and I can't do practice outside of the house, I can't do those summer showcases, tournaments to kind of show my true abilities, what's a student athlete to do?
Good question. And there's several different things of ways I would approach that. Depending on your sport, depending on where you are and what access you have, you got to be creative at how you are continuing to build your skill level. So if you're a speed-based sport and you have an opportunity to work on that speed, then do it. While you maintain your social distance, right? If
Right.
You're a track runner that's in longer distances and you have an opportunity to get to a track or something like a track and have a family member film you from afar, do it. If you are, a skill sport athlete where you need to develop hand-eye coordination or your stick skills for lacrosse or your hand placement for football guys or your footwork for speed and agility, then create opportunities that are safe opportunities and get it on film. Film yourself running the ladder drills in front of the house. Maybe you film yourself, or if you got an opportunity to get to a pool, and I'm not suggesting hopping fences or knocking in doors, but, coaches are going to want to know that, hey, this kid, despite our societal challenges right now, this kid has continued to work at being great at their particular sport by position. So while we're at halftime or we've hit the pause button right now, once we are able to go, it's going to be very clear who's been training, who's been developing their skills and their sports IQ, and who hasn't. And so what you want to do is you do your very best to get ahead of that, so when it is go time, coaches are informed as to who you are, and your skills are appropriate based on what's going on in society right now.
Yeah, no, I've seen, especially on social media, right now Instagram's really popular. Haven't seen too much on TikTok, but where athletes are showing their jump power, their workout routines. And often I've heard coaches communicate with me, it's just, there's specific skills to that. It's not always about numbers, but they see potential, right? A lot of people, if anyone's watching The Last Dance, some of the background stories were some people that were just, I think it was Rodman who was just saw playing a sport, and the colleges recruited him. Well, now with the internet and also maintaining social distancing is a great way, and I think it really illustrates determination, which Absolutely. Every coach loves, right? That's what's going to win games, right? Sometimes having that hunger that's out there. So any other things that during this COVID-19 for outreach or exceptions, or if anything, what should their message be or outline in their email, or in case they do have a resume? What's something that they should highlight to be consistent while they're being patient, while they're still, training individually at home?
Couple things with regards to outreach to coaches, and then the second piece would be what they can do on their campuses or in their neighborhoods and communities. You want to, as a student athlete, be in a position where you feel like you're doing things that will separate you from the other 25 to 30 kids that they're going to offer a scholarship to in the coming year. What does that look like by sport? If I was a offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, and I'm sorry I keep using references to football. I was a head football coach for a while.
It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
It is. And so if I was 300 pounds last season and moderately fast, and now I'm 285 pounds, and I'm fast, I'm going to get on a scale and show that, and I'm going to show some different clips that shows the difference in my speed. You want to make sure you're doing what it takes to demonstrate your preparation moving forward. How can you highlight your progress in your sport? So think about those things and be creative in how you put that together. Are you a distance runner? Do you have friends or family members that are runners? Well, can you time a mile? Can you time a 1600 and get that on film? So doing things like that might aid the recruiting process for that prospect.
No, I think that's a great idea, because even my husband's like, let's put up a big net in the backyard and just do some golf swings. I'm like, oh my God, don't break a window. So but there's always those great ways of doing that and that outreach. But if I'm a rising senior and it's near the end of, mid or end of summer, and I haven't heard from a coach yet, and I've been mainly looking at Division I schools, or the very exclusive Division III schools, should I be looking somewhere else?
Absolutely. You want to keep your options, as many options open as possible, as long as you can. I will say that things happen. Things happen in late April of senior year. And the great story of one of our student athletes who that literally occurred for him 4 years ago, and now he's soon to graduate from college playing two sports, actually. So you want options, and you want to keep as many open as you can for as long as you can, even if you started late. So if I'm a rising senior and I'm not getting a whole lot of exposure, or I haven't had a whole lot of calls back from coaches or emails back from coaches, and coaches are coming by offices and not necessarily looking for me, well, you want to, stay on their radar, and continue to grow in your sport.
Yeah, no, it's really important. And what has been your experiences? I have my 10 cents of student like, hey, I want to be a college athlete and I want to be an engineering major or a nursing major, or a major that's very impacted, very lab heavy, meaning you have to be in the classroom doing lab work a lot.
Right.
Any words of wisdom for those students?
First thing is, with the colleges and the athletic programs that they are looking at, have a conversation with a coach. Find out from coach, A, what their recommendation is, B, whether or not there are other players on the team who are studying that specific major. And if so, can you get in contact with them? Because you want to find out what the reality is in juggling the academic work, the labs, and practice, and travel. How does the academic institution, do they shape schedules differently? And is it shaped such that it's doable for your sport? So if they're only offering lab sports during your season, that may not be congruent. That may not be a match. So the question then is, well, how would you make it up? Do they offer labs outside of your season and into the summer? Like, what do the summer months look like? Are there intersessions between the winter and the spring where a student athlete might be able to make up a class, or even as they get closer to senior year, travel abroad and study whatever they need to study for their particular subject, whether engineering or nursing? So having those conversations with coach and the admissions rep at those colleges, I think, would be really, really helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. I mean, basically, do your homework, right? You've said that over and over again, not only on the roster and the team and the coach, but also in the classroom, right? And how are the support system for the athletes? Speaking of a support system, I know one organization that's important to you is Athlete's Soul, who